Welcome to this presentation on Insights on Teaching about Secondary Data. Hello, I am Sharissa Jefferson and I'm the Business and Economics Librarian. I'm an information subject specialist and I teach students about understanding, finding, and using related data for their research projects and in the larger scope of business decision making. I'm excited to share a snapshot of my research with you. Let me share a little bit about what brought this research on. While academic librarians are not traditionally trained on consulting with students on data-related inquiries, it became my goal to find a smooth path for librarians in the various social sciences to gain confidence in this growing area of practice, which is why I decided to research other business and economics librarians' experiences in their teaching and professional learning. It may help if I define the type of data that librarians typically work with in the social sciences. Most researchers that approach librarians for help with finding data are looking for secondary data. That is, data they have not gathered themselves, but that is made available publicly or through subscriptions such as in the library databases. Researchers often seek help from librarians in navigating through these resources to find what they are looking for. Even though instead of text, we're talking about numbers, aside from the format of this information itself, this is not really too far from the service that librarians traditionally offer. Regardless of the format, part of librarianship is about helping people get to the information they need. But what makes this component and context of data unique in and of itself? I interviewed 10 business and economics librarians at university research libraries and one at a liberal arts college library, each who are high adopters of teaching students about understanding and using data in the field. Using applied thematic analysis, I coded each transcript and discovered 5 themes. The 5 themes are roles and responsibilities, expertise, teaching and pedagogy, professional development, and institutional support. This slide shows the main topics underlying each theme. In addition to what was previously mentioned about text versus numeric format, the roles and responsibilities theme augmented the list of skill sets published in the library science literature through discussions of the significance of the librarian's role in licensing when it comes to data set acquisitions. Participants also discussed how a subject liaison can offer teachable transitionary content before students move between one specialist and the next during their process, since students may encounter a variety of information specialists in their data research process. The multiple roles of data educators in students' learning experience are interconnected. The expertise in data education is demonstrated by direct and distinct approaches to sources. One participant used an analogy that searching for data cannot be a let's see approach. It has to be targeted and intentional. Developing this knowledge of knowing exactly which sources has what requires tenacity that outweighs most persistence needed with literature searches. While my research goal was to find pathways to confidence, and although experts in their field, each of my participants acknowledged an area for their own improvement, surmising that expertise does not equate complete confidence. Participants described what they teach and how they teach it. The existing library literature had discussed the shortcomings of students not being able to internalize broad concepts to extrapolate them in other scenarios. My participants spoke directly to additional learning outcomes that had been published in the library literature, such as addressing issues of learning transfer in different contexts by talking about data documentation, demonstrating sources that pertain to control variables likely to frequent, encouraging an explanation of the numbers themselves, teaching data citation skills, and using methods of project-based or active learning for best results. Understanding how participants acquired their skills through professional development was an essential component to carve pathways for other professionals. Participants spoke about self-guided, informally as peer-to-peer, either at current institutions or across institutions, and formally through professional networks such as associations and organizations, and on listservs and at conferences. Participants also mentioned learning directly from data providers, since they are also interested in data education, as they want users to access and use their data efficiently and effectively. The final theme emerged both as a challenge and a catalyst. Support from one's institution, such as having enough staff to support researchers' needs, having the flexibility, discretion, and enough financial resources to acquire the data sets and analysis tools needed by researchers, and having the support of administrators to acknowledge that the library is addressing the needs that is being overlooked by curriculum, came through in all of the interviews. Occasionally, the librarians saw the need for data education, although the institution may not offer adequate pathways for the librarians to address the needs for data services. For institutions that do not have formal research data management services, the relevance of data literacy programmatic needs may not be immediately apparent to those in non-research universities. Librarians face unique challenges in many ways in order to accomplish their teaching mission. One challenge librarians face when it comes to data education is in knowing what students already know and what they do not when it comes to their skills in numeracy and statistics. Librarians teach a group of students with whom they have not yet interacted and may not ever again, proving it difficult to teach a variety of content relevant for all learners. Data education adds unique sets of challenges to library instruction, where so much emphasis is about finding the right data, but also the learning outcomes may vary so much depending on students' needs. There are a variety of aspects future researchers may be inclined to explore. Higher education in general remains unclear about its role in data literacy education. Future researchers in this area may consider seeking pathways defined by higher education and the roles of librarianship within them. Developing a needs assessment to examine where best to provide timely and relevant value will be essential. Topics of data visualization and analytics were brought up by the majority of participants. However, the limitations of skill sets had been described by participants and emerged as an area for future research to explore. Addressing ethical use and collection of data may be an additional area to explore. Educating the end user about ethical issues in data overall, for which users should be aware, is well within higher education's workforce preparation and civic engagement missions. As online learning and remote instruction increase, working with data may produce additional challenges to teaching in the remote environment. This may be an area where librarians can aid faculty wishing to bring active learning with data into their online courses. Future research can examine various online teaching practices for remote data literacy instruction in the form of digital objects, learning modules, and interactive tutorials. Future examination of existing teaching and learning materials are welcomed approaches to expand this research. Further work can be explored in developing additional teaching materials and leveraging skill sets in the data literacy instructional setting. Many thanks to all who made this research possible: the library's Research Fellows Committee and Dean Mark Stover, the Institute of Research Design and Librarianship, the Journal of Business and Finance Librarianship editors who are publishing my article, where you may find the full analysis of my research. Thank you to all of your support, and thank you for your interest in my research.